I'm Dr. Dhananjay Kumar Tripathi, an assistant professor of physics under the Department of Basic Science and Humanities. Today, we will discuss the storage and display devices. So, in that, at first, we will have to discuss the types of storage or memory in a computer system. So, there are two types of memories in a computer system: primary storage and secondary storage. The example of primary storage is RAM, whereas the example of secondary storage is the hard disk, floppy disk, magnetic tapes, pen drives, Blu-ray disc, all these. The very important thing about the primary storage memory is that memory is stored there temporarily. That means this memory in the primary storage is volatile. If power um, goes, then this memory goes off. Whereas secondary storage stores the memory for a longer time till your instruction, it will be stored there. So types of secondary storage devices are magnetic storage devices, semiconductor storage devices, and optical storage devices. We will concern with the magnetic and semiconductor storage devices only. This is out of scope of our syllabus, so we will not discuss this optical storage devices. Now, before going ahead, we should discuss what is the difference between primary storage devices and secondary storage devices. So in the primary storage devices, the program or part of a data is stored temporarily. I told you earlier. Whereas the program or data is stored permanently in secondary storage devices. The size of the memory is less compared to the secondary memory in the case of primary storage devices. Whereas in the secondary storage devices, the size of the memory is very high compared to the primary memory. So I told you that when the power goes, the content of the primary memory is lost. That means this is a volatile memory um, device, whereas the memory lasts till our instructions in the second storage device. Now, for the magnetic storage materials, because this is magnetic storage materials, so gamma ferric oxide was used as magnetic storage material since 1937. The magnetic properties of these particles were not affected. Magnetic storage materials, what we know that the magnetic properties of these particles were not affected by the working environment in the vicinity of the room temperature, as the Curie temperature of the particle was more than 500 degrees centigrade. So if the Curie temperature, magnetic storage materials, those materials which can store the data, so their Curie temperature is 500 degrees centigrade. And because of that, if you work in the room temperature, then the magnetic properties does not affected, because after Curie temperature, the magnetic properties got altered. The magnetic properties of ferric oxide particles were further improved by modifying the surface using cobalt. The thin metallic alloy films were proposed as a magnetic material for high performance later on in 1950s high storage density hard disk drives. Now, nowadays, the scientists are taking effort to develop metallic thin films recording material or medium using various technologies. Basically, they use the technology where perpendicular magnetic recording media can be used. Now, magnetic storage devices. What we know that computer system need to store data in digital format. So one of the widely used types of digital data storage is magnetic storage, where any type of data, because I told you that these are three in numbers: magnetic type, semiconductor type, and optical type. So about the magnetic storage device, we are discussing that to just store the data, magnetic storage devices can be used. So, and the informations are always coded in terms of either 0 or 1. Now, the first very important um, type of magnetic storage device was magnetic tape. This was probably the first type of magnetic storage device, magnetic tape. All of you have seen the reels. In earlier days, if you ask to your parents or grandparents, they will tell you that what was used um, during their days in 50s or 60s. Your grandparents can tell, and your parents can also tell that what was used in their childhood during 80s or 90s. So in during 50s or 60s, reels were used. Later on, these reels were covered with plastic covers called as cassettes. So cassettes were used, but the inside was reel. Actually, this reel was what? It's a magnetic tape. Magnetic tape is a storage medium that allows data archiving, collection, and backup. At first, the tape was wound on a wheel-like reels, but then cassettes and cartridges came along, which offered more protection for the tape inside. Magnetic tape was the only device for audio and binary data storage for several decades and is still part of data storage for some systems. Originally, magnetic tape was designed to record sound. In computing, it holds binary data in terms of 0 or 1. Magnetic tape was used in many of the larger and less complex mainframe computers that predated today's personal computers. One use of magnetic tape that still exists is tape valuating for the storage of physical records. This is very important thing that for a storage of physical record, magnetic tape is used. In this process, technicians and other professionals back up digital data to magnetic tape to secure it in the physical vaults. So during the disasters or emergencies, this data can be used as you know that data of um, meteorological services. These are also kept um, secured using the magnetic tapes. Nowadays, we are using the cloud, but uh, there is security problems. So that is why all the data are not kept on the cloud, and that is why magnetic tape is still used there. So this is very important thing that for physical records, the magnetic tape is used. One side of now, what is very important about the magnetic tape, that one side of the tape is coated with a magnetic material. So data is on the tape is written with the read sequentially. Finding a specific record takes time because the machine has to read every record in front of it. Most tapes are used for archival purpose rather than ad hoc writing and reading. That means tapes were used just for the archive, for storing the information. For reading and writing, these are not used. Just for reading and writing, RAM is used, in which the memory is not stored permanently. Now hard disk. So we have discussed the first type of the secondary memory device, that is magnetic tape. The second very important, which you are using in your computer, hard disk or hard drive. This is very important magnetic device which is used to store the data. So this is a specific kind of storage device that cannot be removed and are fixed inside the computer. You know, all of you know that what is the capacity of your hard disk. That means what amount of data it can store. If you're saying that your hard disk is having the 4 GB, or sometimes we are saying that a hard disk is of 500 GB or greater than that, 1 TB. As the computer I'm using, this is having 2 TB of hard disk. This means it can store the data up to 2 TB, 2 terabyte um, memory. You know that memory is always to be expressed in bytes. So these hard disks are composed of platters that are typically 3.5 inches in diameter with storage capacity generally from 500 gigabytes. So the storage of hard disk starts nowadays from 500 gigabytes, not less than that. That is not required. Data is written to hard drive using magnetism and is read by the computer as a combination of ones or zeros. So data is stored using magnetic properties of the material, but that is read or that is encoded also with using zeros and ones. That means zeros and ones. The combination of zeros and ones, everything, every word, actually what we know that in the binary system, every word or every syllable is written using zeros and ones. So any syllable will be written as zeros and ones, so data will be stored there in terms of zeros or ones. The data is not lost when the storage device is not powered in the hard disk, which happens in the RAM, random access memory. For reliable storage of data, the recording material needs to resist self-demagnetization. This is very important. For reliable storage of the data, the recording material needs to resist. It should not have self-demagnetization. If there will be demagnetization, the data will be lost. So that is always to be avoided. We will have to search a material. We should not have the self-demagnetization. So why? Because we know the domain concept. So Weber's theory, in which domain concept is there, the magnetic domains should not repel each other. When the magnetic domains will repel each other, then it will be self-demagnetized. So that is why that material cannot be used to make hard disk or hard drive. So that is why cobalt based alloy is used nowadays. In earlier days, the iron was used, but later on it was realized that iron got suffered. Iron is suffering from, we can say that self demagnetization. That is why cobalt alloys are used to make these storage materials like hard disk or hard drive. Now, merits of magnetic storage. What are the, we can say that the merits of using the magnetic storage devices? These are relatively cheap. Magnetic storage is read write, which makes it possible to reuse. If you are having magnetic storage device, we can read there, we can write there, we can delete. So when we will delete a data, we can store the another data at that place. So it can be reused. The storage capacity is also very large because of magnetism, making it attractive for storing very large amount of data. Demerits of magnetic storage. The accessing of data is quite slow. Most computer systems use magnetic storage for non-volatile storage, because if you use RAM in the memory in the RAM is volatile. So computers are using the magnetic storage for non-volatile storage of large amounts of data in the hard disk, but a different type of storage for system memory, such as read-only memory, which is much smaller but can be accessed much faster, that can be used. So this is the demerits. That means here ROM or RAM can supersede the hard disk. Now the second category of memory, if you go to the, you see, we have seen the types of secondary storage devices. So magnetic storage devices, second is semiconductor storage devices. So we'll discuss the semiconductor storage devices. So very important in this category is a device which is called as pen drive. All of you are acquainted with this. What is pen drive? And you are using this pen drive is having another name, Universal Serial Bus Flash Drive. Universal Serial Bus Flash Drive. So USB flash drive. So all of you have heard about you have heard about the USB device, but what is the full form of USB? Universal Serial Bus. Okay, so this bus concept you will get in electronics later on, or in your computer science also later on. We are not going there. I'm just telling you that what is pen drive and or USB flash drive. So we should discuss the we can say that the characteristics, very important characteristics of USB device, because every one of you are aware of pen drive. This is the figure of pen drive, and these are the different parts which will come later on. Let us see at first the peculiar points about the USB device or pen drive. Popular data storage media, all of you know, and this is having very high storage capacity. Starting from the 2 GB to 4 GB, all these are there. The small external hard drive does not require any outside power source for its operation. This pen drive never requires any power source from outside. When we will put it to the computer, it will use the power of the computer to work. They are found in variety of shapes, but most of the common are rectangular or flat surface. Why it is known as pen drive? Because of its structure. Its structure is like a pen. That is why its name is pen drive. So a pen drive consists of flash memory integrated with a USB interface, and they are also rewritable. You can delete some memory, you can write new data there. So data can be rewritable, and also on this pen drive is rewritable or removable. And pen drive, very important thing about the pen drive is that it supports all the operating systems of nowadays. It may be Mac, it may be Windows, it may be Linux. All is supported by the pen drive. Now, pen drive or USB flash drives are in different standards like USB 1.0, which allows the transfer of data with a speed of 12 MB per second. So 12 megabytes per second. USB 2.0 480 megabytes per second. USB 3.0 4.8 gigabytes per second. So this is of very high speed. Inside a pen drive, these are the different you can say that parts. First one is USB connector. This one is USB connector. USB connector. It acts as an interface between the NAND flash memory chip and the computer to which the pen drive is plugged. The pen drive uses the power from computer. So that is why it is called as USB connector. USB mass storage controller. USB mass storage controller is another part of this pen drive. This chip, this one. So this chip helps to retrieve the information from the pen drive, and it also helps in reading the information on NAND flash memory. It is basically a microcontroller on chip RAM or ROM. Test points. This is test point. Here is also there is test point. So what are test point? Test points, they are electric pins used to stimulate and exercise the pen drive during assembly process. NAND flash memory chip. NAND flash memory chip. This is very important part of this pen drive. NAND flash memory chip. This one. Now, what is its working? It helps in storage of files and all data. Also, it allows the erasing information so that we can delete files and put new files into the pen drive. Now, the crystal oscillator. This is another part, crystal oscillator. So, this crystal oscillator is embedded somewhere here. Now, it is a piece of quartz crystal designed to vibrate at very particular frequency. LED. You see there is LED. This one is LED. Used to indicate if the flash drive is working properly. We know that a green or sometimes a red color light is always blinking when the pen drive is working. A write protect switch, an operational component used to safeguard the information saved on the flash drive. Space to put a second NAND flash memory chip. This is also given there. Additional slot to put another memory chip if we require, which can increase the storage capacity. Now, applications of pen drive. The very important application of pen drive is for data transport. You are taking the data from one computer, and if you want to put it in another computer, so how you will put it? Or if you have taken the data from one television set, how you will put it in another computer system? So for data transport, pen drive is used on large scale because it can store the files, transport the files, pictures, videos, or any type of document. Its second very important use is for the security purpose, security for the storage of data, application, and other software files. Now, if you put the data anywhere else, it can be leaked. But the issue of data security and information security is very essential. So for that, pen drive is used for providing the security of many encryptions systems. This pen drive is used. Computer forensic and law enforcement. USB flash drive is used to carry the computer online forensic evidence extractor, coffee applications. What is coffee? Coffee is a set of applications designed to search and extract digital evidence on computers confiscated from suspects. So this is very important use, which is used in forensic science. Now for boot operating system, probably all of you know that this pen drive is used. You are taking the different programs for booting the operating systems. If you want to boot your Windows 10 or Windows 7, what you have, you will have to use the data which is stored in the pen drive. So today most PC firmware helps in permitting booting from a USB device. Operating system installation, we are also installing the operating system using the data stored in the pen drive. So Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, Linux, Mac OS, all is carried from one place to the other place using the pen drive. And for backup, this is very, very important thing. When we are writing some data or we are having some data or information and we want to keep it away from others. Also, we want to store it, then we will take it out from the computer. If the computer is used by different personals, if it is not PC, then we store it in the pen drive. So for backup purpose, it is highly recommended because of its high memory. And these are the different references which you should go through. These two references I used very importantly to have the informations about the pen drive. So you must go through them. And lastly, thank you.